Would you believe of all the horror movie franchises out there, only 5 have broken $1 billion at the box office? Now, I'm sure you're thinking of all the big ones right now. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream. Well, guess what? None of those actually broke $1 billion combined. I will admit, a couple of these movies surprised me. A couple of them did not, considering the amount of movies in them. So make sure you leave your thoughts on these movies in the comments as we go along. Starting with number 5, the Saw franchise has 10 movies in it, and with that, brought in $1.12 billion, with the most recent Saw 10 bringing in $111 million on its own. This doesn't overly surprise me. Saw's always been a big, popular franchise. 10 really revitalized it, I believe, bringing it all the way back to the beginning, and now we're even going to get Saw 11 because of it. So it's not a big shocker to me that Saw made the list. Number 4 kind of surprised me because there's only 2 movies in this franchise, and that is Andy Muschietti's remake of Stephen King's It. That's right, this movie made $1.17 billion at the box office. That's a large amount of money for only 2 movies. Now, depending on whether or not you want to include the original It from Stephen King, that franchise alone, that 2-parter, brought in $701 million. That was a lot of money back then. That's a lot of money now. But think of the inflation rates from way back then. $701 million is a large amount of money. If you decide to want to tack that into this, I guess we could. But for argument's sake, we won't. Definitely a favorite of mine. I want to know what your thoughts are. If you're a Pennywise fan, definitely drop a like on this video for me. Moving on to number 3. This one did surprise me a little bit. With 10 films under its belt, the Resident Evil franchise brings in $1.23 billion. Now that does include animated movies as well as the live action, but the majority of the money came in the live actions with Mila Jovovich. Resident Evil Raccoon City brought in $42 million, and collectively, again, $1.23 billion. Not bad for a franchise that I honestly didn't expect to even make this list. Now for number 2, with 8 movies under its belt, the Alien franchise brought in $1.65 billion. Now this does include the 2 Alien vs. Predator movies, but the highest grossing movie of this franchise was Ridley Scott's prequel Prometheus, which brought in $400 million in 2012. I'll be completely honest, I never saw that movie. I feel like I should now. Let me know in the comments if it's worth watching. Which brings us to number 1. The highest grossing horror franchise has 8 movies under its belt and brought in $2.4 billion. That franchise is the Conjuring universe. That also makes it the only horror franchise to exceed $2 billion at the box office. The highest grossing movie in this franchise, surprisingly, is The Nun. That brought in $365 million alone. Personally, I'm a bigger fan of the original Conjuring and the Annabelle movies, but that's just me. But overall, I still love all of the Conjuring movies. I think they are great. I can watch them over and over and never get bored of them. I would love to know what your favorite Conjuring movie is. So make sure you leave that down in the comments. Also, leave your thoughts on this entire list. And don't forget to drop a like on the video, hit that subscribe button on your way out, and I'll see you at the concession stands.